I was scared. I didn't know. He got behind me, and I finally got my babies in the house, and I told him to get off my porch.
Wednesday, Garland County, Black Snake Road. Summer Baugh is going to tell us what it was like to have a wanted man show up at her house during a manhunt that she didn't even know was going on in her neighborhood. But first, I got to tell you, this Arkansas 911 News video is sponsored by Driven Towing and Recovery. They've got a shop on Crystal Hill Road, and they've got a truck near you. Call them if you need them, 501-655-2002. The problem all started weeks or months ago. Dylan Hooks is a convicted felon. He was assigned a parole officer. The parole officer felt that Mr. Hooks violated the terms of his parole, so a parole warrant was issued for his arrest. Also, a reward was issued, $400 cash, for information leading to the arrest of Mr. Dylan Hooks. So, you've got informants out there looking for this $400 reward. You've got Arkansas Community Correction agents out there looking for Mr. Hooks. And you've got a stolen truck that Mr. Hooks is in that gets in a pursuit with the Garland County Sheriff's Department in the area of Black Snake Road. There were two people in the truck during the time of the pursuit. One person was detained at the scene, possibly arrested. The other person fled on foot. A manhunt ensued. Several state troopers came down. A lot of deputy sheriffs. Hot Springs City sent their dogs. And it was a full-blown manhunt for a few hours in the area of 700 block of Black Snake Road. After the few hours of hunting, the dogs were pooped out. It was hot. Everybody needed water. They called off the manhunt. They suspended it, and everybody went back to normal patrol, except for Garland County Sheriff's Patrol Corporal Simpson. He left the area, circled back around, and hung around close by just in case. Just in case of what? Well, just in case somebody spotted this guy, Dylan Hooks. Well, that's exactly what happened. Somebody phoned in that they saw him running through the neighborhood in around the 700 block of Black Snake Road. He made his way to a house, went up on the porch, and Summer Baugh is going to tell us her side of the story. She was inside the house when he showed up at the front door.
And I was in the bathroom, and my daughter told me that someone was at the door. And I went to the door, and I saw this man standing there with no shirt and no shoes on, covered in tattoos. And I opened the door, and he asked me if I could call him a cab. And I said, sure. And I called the cab company, and they asked where he wanted to go. And he told me that he wanted to go to Whittington, but he didn't know the address of Whittington. And they said, okay, that they would be here. And then my son brought him some water because he was hot, and he said he'd fallen asleep for 3 hours somewhere. And then not even 2 minutes after that, the police showed him up in my driveway. And I said, do you know them? And he said, no. And so I started to go to the door, and my kids were sitting out on the porch, and I started to go to the door, and they had their weapons drawn. And I started panicking, and I put my hands in the air, telling them, please don't shoot. My kids are on the porch. And they just kept creeping slowly around the side, telling the man to get off the porch. And he was like, what did I do? What did I do? I was scared. I didn't know. He got behind me, and I finally got my babies in the house, and I told him to get off my porch, that they want you. And they come out here, and they were talking to him, and they started yelling at him, asking where the gun was. And I went back in the house. I kind of don't know what happened after that. Cops kept coming and asking me some questions, my name, my address, if I knew the suspect. I said no.
Now here's a terrible situation that Nathan Ratliff wants us to know about. He sponsored this message. Sebastian County on 8/10/2016, there was an ambush. The Hackett police chief was shot. The Sebastian County deputy sheriff was killed, and Keena, the Greenwood police canine dog, was shot in the canine vehicle. Somehow the dog got loose and ran away. The dog is injured and missing in action. There's a search party up in there around the Midland area looking for the dog. If you're in the Midland area, keep your eye out for Keena and call 911 if you spot this dog. Now, there's several lessons you can learn from this story. 1, don't get on parole. 2, do not violate your parole. And 3, be careful when you open your door, especially if you don't know who's on the other side of it. This fellow is a convicted felon that was fleeing on the run the subject of a manhunt and who just prior to going to that house was in possession of a stolen pistol. Normally, I would say allegedly in possession of a stolen pistol. However, when they departed this residence with Mr. Hooks took them to where the pistol was, and the pistol was recovered, and it was a stolen pistol. So, there you go. To answer your question, because I know it's burning a hole in you, did the deputy sheriff get the $400 reward that was being offered? The answer to that is no. The police do not get rewards that are offered for the capture of any wanted people. You need a tow? You need some roadside assistance? Call Driven, 501-655-2002. They'll pull you out of the lake if need be. And when you get them on the line, tell them you saw them on ArkansasNine11News.com.